Welcome, everyone, to SI Media with Jimmy Traina. Thank you so much for listening. We have a great episode for you. Iron Eagle is on the show, and the pod is always good when Iron Eagle is on the show. We did not have Iron on all of 2024. Bad job by me. So we fixed that early in 2025, and we hear from Iron Eagle, who will call the Chargers-Texans playoff game on Saturday for CBS. Get into a bunch of other topics with Ian, of course, as well. Before we get to it, and I should let you know, Sal Licata, Traina Thoughts after Ian, for all of you who love that segment. So we have that this week, too. Before we get to it, if you missed it over the holidays, the pod was still rolling. We did an hour-long interview with Triple H, the Chief Content Officer of WWE. So if you missed that, check that out. Did an all Traina Thoughts episode with Sal Licata. We read Apple reviews for the month of December. Got into some other topics with Sal. We did the 5th annual year-end SI Media Podcast Extravaganza with Peter Schrager and Andrew Perloff. 5th year in a row we've done it, where we review everything in sports media and sports and pop culture from 2024. So if you missed that, check it out. And towards the end of the year, great guests, Sean McDonough and Mike Tirico were on the pod as well. So if you missed any of those, please catch up, give them a listen, and also make sure you subscribe to SI Media with Jimmy Traina. All right, let's get to this show. It is it's technically the second one of 2025. We did Triple H over the weekend. So this is the second one of 2025, but the first one on our regular Thursday schedule with Iron Eagle from CBS, followed by Traina Thoughts and Sal Licata. All right here, right now on SI Media with Jimmy Traina. All right, joining me now, always one of the most popular guests on SI Media with Jimmy Traina. The listeners love him. He's calling a playoff game this week. Had to get him on from CBS, Iron Eagle. Ian, how are you?
Jimmy, should I just out of the gate divulge your booking techniques? Should
Sure.
we just uncover that?
Go ahead.
So I know from the outside looking in, it seems as if it would be a highly organized process. You have a large board, you have names that you've moved around. But the reality is I get a text, and the text says, "Hey, I realize that you were not on the podcast in 2024. My records indicate.
Yes.
So I need you now."
Yeah.
That was the basic premise of it. And I'm going to go back in my records. I don't know that to be true, by the way. That was just a strong line from you that hooked me in and gave me guilt. Like, oh, I wasn't on, so I got to come through.
So my process was, all right, who do I want to have on this week? We've got 6 wild card games.
Yes.
I said, Ian's got a game this week. It's his last one of the NFL season. So this is sort of the last shot during the NFL season.
Well, I'm doing radio, so I'll continue, and I'll do the Super Bowl on the world feed. But I think what really captured your imagination, because I got a bevy of texts when the schedule came out, and before it was announced what game I was doing, I'm not exaggerating. I got texts one after the other. Are you doing the Houston Invitational? Are you doing the Houston Invitational? It was nonstop. It was relentless. And guess what? I'm doing the Houston Invitational. Yeah.
I knew you were doing. I tweeted that you'd be doing the Houston Invitational because I knew they'd have Jim and Tony go to Buffalo.
Yeah.
And so when I realized, I said, let me see when the last time Ian was on, because I don't want to harass him and have him on and keep bothering him.
No.
And then I went back and I saw your last appearance was November of 2023. And I think in my head, it's true. And I think here's what threw me off. In my head, in my warped brain, I feel like I felt like I had you on because I saw you at the CBS event like the week or two prior to the NFL season, and we spoke for a little while over there. In my head, that was like a podcast, so I felt like I had you on, even though it was a private conversation. But
yeah, I think I was on around the Final Four. I think maybe it didn't make it into your records.
No, I went.
I'd like to go back and
I went and
check
checked Apple.
my records.
I checked Apple. That's my records. So now we have you on Chargers-Texans this week. So after this week, you do radio for the division and the
divisional conference championship, and then a world feed for the Super Bowl. Charles Davis and I will do that. I'm a huge, as you know, in Indonesia, cannot walk the streets without a mob scene.
Yes. I'm sure.
Big
I'm
numbers.
sure. Indonesia. with it is amazing. You called it the Houston Invitational. It is amazing that they get the 3:30 Saturday slot. Will you address that during the game? That's what I wanted to ask you.
I probably will make some reference to it at some point. I have done that particular time slot on radio. In fact, last year, my son Noah ended up doing the game on NBC. I did the game on radio, that Houston-Cleveland wildcard game. But I had other Houston wildcard games that I can remember experiences. Brock Osweiler, Texans, Raiders.
Right.
So I've done the radio version. This is the first time that I'm doing the TV version of that first out of the gate Saturday in Houston. It just feels right. It's like an old perfect shoe that forms to your foot.
And if anyone listening thinks we're exaggerating, I saw a great tweet from someone, I don't know the person, Adam Spolane. Start time for every wild card game in Texans history. 2011, Saturday 3:30. 2012, Saturday 3:30. 2015, Saturday 3:30. 2016, Saturday 3:30. 2018, Saturday 3:30. 2019, Saturday 3:30. 2023, 24, Saturday 3:30. So you have every right to address it during the broadcast on Sunday.
Yeah, I think the official kickoff time will be 3:32 local. So there's your variance in the starting time.
It is funny.
It's crazy.
How many Chargers and Texans games have you done this year? Do you know off the top of your head?
Texans I've had at least twice, and had a huge win over Buffalo. In fact, that game where it all came together, and C.J. Stroud was tremendous down the stretch, coming up big in the clutch. Had Houston on the road at Minnesota. They did not perform as well in that game. I feel like I had a third game of theirs as well. Chargers I have not had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so then, if one team you had 2 or 3 times, one team you have no time, you didn't have it all. So do you put more prep time into the Chargers this week?
Absolutely, absolutely. You have to start from scratch, and now start going through game by game, week by week, getting a sense of what their season was like. I have information from previous years doing Chargers, so some of that biographical information lives, but the current stuff, you've got to dive in. So that means a combination of obviously the reading, but then whatever podcast you can get your hands on, and whatever can give you a better feel so that you don't feel like you're just parachuting in for this playoff game. I try to view it through the lens of multiple viewers. The one that's a huge Charger fan that knows everything about their team, and then the random NFL fan that's just into it for the playoffs that now needs a little bit of a refresher course of what's going on. But you can't treat it as if the viewer knows nothing. To me, to start over with the timeline of Jim Harbaugh, I'm not sure we're going to go quite to that level.
It's wild that you didn't get one Charger game this season. You would have thought because they were good, and you usually get good teams. So is this going to be your first encounter with Harbaugh, or have you had meetings with him when he had his first run?
Had him when he was in San Francisco. Had him as a player. So to put it in perspective, going back to the late 90s, early aughts. And in fact, I remember a very vivid memory of doing a Charger game. I thought it was 2000. I'd have to check it to be certain. But the way that the old Jack Murphy Stadium was set up in San Diego, we would stay in La Jolla. So the way that the timing worked out, the game would end at 4:15 local time, and then I would take a 10 p.m. red eye out of San Diego. So we would keep our hotel room in La Jolla, and you'd get out of the parking lot and make your way towards La Jolla, and then you'd have a chance to grab some dinner, change, go to the airport. So we get out of the stadium, Chargers game is over. It bottlenecks every time, and it would lead to basically this one lane, and if you got through that lane over the hill, you'd make a right, and you'd have a clear shot to La Jolla. As we're trying to get out of the parking lot, there's one car honking their horn and zigzagging through traffic, to the point where you had to turn around and look Like, who is doing this? Who is the gall? And I look, and someone's blaring their horn. It's Jim Harbaugh in full uniform, honking his way, and zigzagging through traffic, cuts us off, and then gets to that one lane to get to. I don't know if his wife was giving birth or if he just wanted to get the hell out of here, but it's a very vivid memory. Harbaugh, the player, quarterback for the Chargers, getting out of the
I was going to say, don't players are just driving in traffic with the rest of the peons? I mean,
apparently
really?
in San Diego in the early aughts, that's exactly what happened. And I don't believe Jim was starting at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I could see Jim Harbaugh being a honker.
Oh, yeah, no, he's a honker.
It's a certain the honkers are a certain personality. You could tell he's a honker.
I'm not a honker.
Yeah, me either.
We're going to go on record.
Yeah, I don't like the honk. And I mean, someone's wailing into you, yeah, maybe, but I don't like when the light's red and they honk. It's relax, calm down.
I could be occasionally a response honker, but I'm not going to set the tone with the honking. No,
right, I agree.
Yeah.
Do you tell me about the Netflix Christmas game? Did you enjoy? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you're not going to say you didn't enjoy it, but what was that like What was that like doing a game on Christmas there for Netflix? Which Netflix is making a big deal out of everything they do, so that had to feel special in some way, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a blast. Obviously, once you get into game mode, we had our same game production team with Ken Mack, producer, Suzanne Smith, director. So all of that felt very natural and very familiar. But you've got Nate and JJ who don't do games every week. And we had Stacy and Melanie as part of the crew on the sideline. So that part of it, you have a little bit of time to hang, a little bit of time to get to know one another. My goal there was just try to form as much cohesiveness and chemistry going into it so that we can have a really comfortable 3 hours and feel as if we are on the same page. And that's the way it felt. Those two guys are fantastic. They're a lot of fun. They're really talented people. So once we got into game mode, it was about covering the game, having a good time, and recognizing that the circumstances were a little bit unique, but really enjoyable. Everybody on the Netflix side of things could not have been more supportive and into it. So I'm glad everything worked.
I was going to say, were you nervous about buffering issues?
I personally wasn't, but I knew that this was someone else's role and that if it didn't go well, it probably was going to be the end of their role at Netflix. So everybody crossed their fingers. It truly never came up in our production meeting and the setup. It's out of your hands. Jimmy, I know you and I are probably at a similar level in terms of technology. We know enough. We can get through it. We can get to places that we have to get to. But I would never call myself an expert on any of this. I've gotten to a point where I feel good about my knowledge base. That's way above anything that I understand. So my hope was just that it would work. And from what the response was, the picture quality was really good. The audio was really good. So it looked good. It sounded good. It felt like an NFL game. It looked like an NFL game. And that really is the most important part of this when you get into this new wave of broadcasting. It's got to look and sound the part.
Yeah, to me, there's no issues at all with Netflix, Amazon, whatever. When there's a game on, it looks like a game that's on CBS or Fox or ESPN or anywhere else. There are issues with streaming in terms of flipping channels and stuff like that I don't like. But I can't recall any game that Amazon or Netflix has done. I didn't watch the Tyson thing where it doesn't look like a regular production. I don't know why. I think those fears aren't legitimate anymore. So, but that's just me, which I'm sure the NFL loves because I have a funny feeling that the days of CBS and Fox are going to be over much sooner than people think. But that's not for you to comment on because you work for CBS. But you'll just go to Netflix, so it'll be fine.
I said to simple. Just snap your fingers and make things happen. Of course.
I said to so many people, I said because when Netflix released the pregame and studio host, and there was like 4,064 people on there.
Yes.
I was like, doesn't anyone want to be home on Christmas? I get like maybe you don't like your family, but all these people just want to be away on Christmas. And everyone said they're getting ready for when Netflix gets the NFL. So that seems to be the consensus out there.
I mean, obviously the hook there was that I was doing it, my son was doing it.
Right.
A family connection, the McCourties, JJ Watt, TJ Watt. I think, probably the most special part of the whole thing, Jimmy, when I think back on it now, is that I got to experience something with my son and a topless Bert Kreischer, like that combination on that day, for that to happen in that way is pure symmetry.
You didn't have a great game, but your game was way better than your son's. Did you text your son and say, "Oh, you got a pig"?
No, his game was rather lopsided. I think I have passed this on to him, which is, don't take it personally. When you get a dog of a game, it has nothing to do with you. Do your job, do the best job that you can do, your preparation, your ability to keep the broadcast moving, finding some things that might be interesting, finding some light moments if need be. So I do think, and maybe a lot of that has to do with where I was in the pecking order coming through the ranks at CBS. We were not getting the best games every week, but I took the games really seriously, and I knew it mattered to somebody. And even if it was a dominating game, a lopsided game, go do your job. Go do it well and inform, entertain, do all the things that you would do if it was a great game, high profile game, maintain that same sensibility. So I do think he's taken a page out of that book. Mm-hmm.
I just realized, so he had a horrible game, but they had Beyonce at halftime. Was there a halftime performance for because it was halftime of your performance when I left my house to go to my aunt's house for Christmas. Was there a halftime performance for that game?
Halftime performance. I'm trying to recall exactly who it was. Was it Three Dog Night?
So there was no halftime performance. Like, why did they just completely screw over the Pittsburgh fans? And they went. It's one I can you can't go from Beyonce for one show to nothing for the other show. You could. Yeah. There had to be some American Idol person you could have thrown out there or something.
Yeah, I don't think they sat down and said, okay, how do we screw over the first game? Let's talk about this. Let's analyze it. I think they realized that they hit it out of the park with Beyonce, so they put all their eggs in the Beyonce basket. What were you going to do at halftime of the first game?
How about Sticks? They could have done Renegade Live, maybe?
Yeah. You can't play Renegade at halftime. That's wrong. That's
I guess
sacrilege.
That's true. Well, maybe they could have done some of their other songs. Yeah, they could have done their other song.
They did go with it. They did go with Renegade, although it felt a little forced because the Chiefs had already taken the sizable lead.
Yeah, I thought JJ was really good doing a game for the first time.
Yeah, really good.
I when I was watching it, I said, get him doing games instead of studio. But I know he likes that part-time schedule, and they're not going to give him that with games probably. So
yeah, he's incredibly comfortable. And it's funny, we all watch shows at different stages now because of streaming, and for whatever reason, I don't know what was going on in my life at the time, I did not watch The League when it came out. Did you ever watch The League?
Was that the fantasy football show? Yes. I watched it. I think maybe a season. I don't think I watched it all the way through, but I watched it maybe for a season. Yeah.
So it was on FX.
Yeah.
And I watched it. Noah watched it within the last year and a half. So once it popped up on, I don't think it was Netflix, but maybe on Amazon, whatever it was on, or on Hulu. Maybe it was on Hulu. And I thought it was hilarious. Really legitimately funny show. And I watched every episode of it. But JJ was on it 3 times.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
And I realized that it was pretty early in his career because now a lot of years have passed. And to see his evolution, even as an actor in his 3 different appearances, first one, he was feeling his way through. Second one, you could tell he was so much more comfortable. And then the third one, he crushed it. And I thought to myself, oh, that's really similar to him, probably as a player and as a broadcaster, that once he wraps his brain around it and figures out, he can be really good at whatever it is that he does. So, really, really talented guy.
Absolutely. Underdog is the best place to cash in on all your takes during the playoffs, which players are going off and which ones are ice cold. With over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances. With their pick'em game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats, i.e. yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and more. Underdog is the only pick'em platform that puts the power to cash out in your hands. Now you can either keep writing with your entry or tap the Win Now button to cash out whenever you want. Every dog deserves a second chance, and with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. What I'm looking at for this week with Underdog is simple. A lot of players playing for incentives. You have wide receivers who need a certain amount of catches, running backs who need a certain amount of yards. I'm looking at those players, and that's where I'm going to go for a lot of higher plays on Underdog. Underdog is the best place to play pick'em. Download the app, sign up with the promo code Sports Illustrated, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code Sports Illustrated. Must be 18 years or older, 19 years or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 years or older in Colorado for some games, 21 years or older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado for some games. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Let me do this, and then we'll switch gears to basketball a little bit. Yep. You mentioned early days at CBS and maybe not getting as many great games. Can't have you on and not ask you about Greg Gumbel. Passing over the holidays, colleague of yours, obviously. Just give me a little bit about your relationship with Greg and what he was like to work with.
First seminar, 1998, so I get hired. I'm just 29 years old and show up at the seminar. I know nobody. I don't know anybody, basically. And one of the first people that I see is Greg Gumbel, who comes directly up to me and introduces himself, which he didn't have to do. I knew exactly who Greg Gumbel was, and we end up talking for 15 minutes. He's asking about my background. He's asking me about my setup, who I'm going to be working with, people that he had worked with at NBC. So he was giving me some insight. And that, to me, tells the whole story. He was the number one person in the pecking order. I was not. So you've got a power dynamic there where if he wanted to just move on and go about his business, he could, but he took the time. And then obviously that became something that we did every seminar. We would catch up and chat. So that's not, 5 years. That's 20 plus years, 25, 26 years of college basketball seminars, NFL seminars, sitting next to him, sitting in front of him, text chains back and forth, funny stuff that happens, sharing with one another. Greg was class personified, as good a guy as you would meet in this business. Great sense of humor, just a good handle on all of this, the balance of being a professional, but also being a human being and being a great teammate. So it's a huge loss. When it was announced that he was not working March Madness last year, obviously texted him right away, hey, hope you're okay. And he got back within seconds of, hey, all good on my end. Have a great tournament. Thrilled for you with the Final Four. I'll be watching. Texted me right after the Final Four. You crushed it. But I did sense that maybe something was amiss, that he wasn't doing the tournament, and then there was no indicator that he was going to be coming back to do anything on television. Anyone I asked behind the scenes, I would check in with him. I checked in with him, I think, 3 weeks ago. Just, hey, how you doing? Doing well. So he clearly wanted to keep it private and understood, completely respect that.
The outpouring and remembrances were really something else. It really gave you a sense of it's weird. I mean, even just doing this for a living, I think I may have underrated him in terms of the longevity and, CBS, NBC, CBS, and stuff with the Fan and ESPN and MSG.
And versatility, Jimmy, too. I mean, that's the other part. I just know from personal experience to be excellent at play-by-play and to be excellent at studio is not easy. You can look through sports broadcasting history. There is a select group that has done that job really well on both sides, and he is in that group. That's rare that you find someone that can do both skills with a certain level of expertise that nobody questions you in either role.
Yeah. You mentioned Greg texting you about the Final Four.
Yeah.
This was your first Final Four back in March, and we haven't had you on according to the records.
I believe we spoke, but okay.
So did it live up to the hype for you? Did it feel different than past? How different did it feel than past tournaments that you got those extra games there at the end? Give me a little wrap up of your first experience calling the Final Four for CBS.
Yeah, really interesting experience in that it didn't feel different in going about and calling the games, doing your job and preparing for the games. None of that felt different. What felt different to me was when I got into Glendale/Phoenix, my routine was not the same as it would normally be when I was covering NCAA games. So you would go to those day of practices and you're usually off on your own, watching the teams, talking to the coaches. The day of the open practices, I'm right there in the middle by our broadcast location. Now, people are coming over left and right. It was like a receiving line at a wedding, which was wonderful. But I recognized that this was different, that people wanted to be a part of it and feel like they were part of it and wanted me to feel positive and great about things. And in a way, it probably helped me in that I was so locked in on making sure that everybody else was comfortable and that I had done my work already. Even though I was taken out of my routine, I got focused on the things that I needed to do in a different manner. And I realized the weekend was going to be different. I just told myself time and time again, have fun doing this. Do not change who you are. Do not change how you approach it. Right. Don't treat this any differently in certain ways, but recognize the importance of it. And I really did have a sense of calm. And that was my goal, was to get to that place before the first game, before the second game, before the national championship. Yeah, feel excited, feel a sense of anticipation, feel the moment, but don't feel overwhelmed by it. It's funny, I had not watched any of the games afterwards. I just didn't do it. I went into NBA mode, playoff mode, and then I went into shut it all down mode in the summer. Just so happened the other day, I don't know why it popped up on my screen, but the UConn run to the national championship popped up on one of my algorithms. And I ended up spending about 45 minutes watching back various parts. I had them first two rounds, and then of course had them in the Final Four. And it was the first time that I watched back any of the semifinal game and the national championship game. And I can honestly say, watching it back, that's exactly how I wanted it to come across, that I was prepared, that I was into it, that me, Raph, and Grant were having a blast doing it, which we were, and that it was me. It wasn't me trying to be someone else or me trying to copy somebody else. It was the way I do games, and really pleased with how it all came across.
I love that because I feel like everyone would say, "Oh, I didn't like this," or "I was critical of this." So I like that you said that. That's I like that. Was Raftery like a proud father when you were doing the Final Four with him for the first time?
I have a picture, Jimmy, of literally seconds after the championship game ended, of me, Grant, and Raph, and the three of us holding hands with Grant in the middle of us, like clasping our hands together. Someone took a shot of us, and you could feel the pure zeal and joy from the three of us. We really had fun. We just enjoyed each other's company. Tracy as well. We went in with the right attitude, and then I do think it came across that these people are excited to be there, are happy to do this assignment. And I do think, yes, deep down, Raf had a little bit of that feeling. I wouldn't go as far as the term that you used, but proud is the word that would come to mind. Yeah.
I like that. Now is this one of those deals where you're going to be Amazon's lead NBA guy, but we can't say it yet, and we have to wait for like an official press release? Where do we stand with all that? Because if you Google Iron Eagle Amazon, it's Iron Eagle is Amazon's guy, but I have a feeling you can't say that yet, and we're going to wait for the bells and whistles. Can we?
First of all, I'm a little concerned about your Google search history. If that's what you're searching.
I've got to prep. I'll tell you this, when I did a Twitter search for your name, there were a lot of tweets, I guess, from Sunday's Falcons-Panthers game, because you used the phrase Penix extending. And now anytime anybody calls anything from Michael Penix, the word penis is thought of. So you got to be careful what you say there. So I think the Amazon NBA job might be even easier for you to talk about than that.
Look, I just did 2 Grady Dick games. So trust me, I know where the line is, and I go up right against it. But I feel like
in all seriousness, when you
always culpable deniability, Jimmy. That's what you have to maintain in this business.
In all seriousness, when you do the Grady Dick game, how conscious when he gets the ball, are you having a heart attack?
I'm not. I did all of it straight faced. And while there might be some language used that people can use their imagination, I'm just calling the game. So that's on you.
Well, phrasing could be a problem. Phrasing can be a problem.
Let's put it this way. If it was a national game, it probably would have gotten a lot more attention. But because it was a local game, there was just a small group of Nets/Raptors fans that enjoyed the coverage. Yeah. And by the way, yes, on the Penix extends, it's rare, very rare, that I say something on television or radio that I'm not aware of.
All right. I actually believe that, so that's a good job by you getting that phrase in there. Then, all right. So Amazon, when are we getting the announcement?
I don't know. What was the question, Jimmy?
You're Amazon's lead NBA voice. They announced their studio show today.
They did,
of Taylor Rooks, Blake Griffin, and Dirk Nowitzki, which I think is going to be outstanding.
I agree.
I said 2 things about this in my column. One, I love that it's just 3 people. Every studio show wants to have 7,000 people. I actually like this, and I think that is a really, really good crew. I actually wrote something in Googling. I wrote that I would love to see Amazon pair you with Blake Griffin, but I guess he's doing studio instead of games. But Blake Griffin's got major superstar potential.
Yes,
without a doubt.
Big time. Right. So he was on the Nets, so got to know him a little bit there. Obviously followed him throughout the Clipper run, and then he was in Detroit. But when he was in LA, he was doing a bunch of things on the side, showing up at comedy clubs, doing some TV, internet stuff that was fun and different and unique. I remember one in particular with Norm Macdonald, the great Norm Macdonald, and he was involved. I'm trying to remember who else was in it, but funny stuff. So he's got a really good sense of humor.
Very good.
And I think it will translate. But I do think with Blake, he's got a unique perspective and number 1 pick, but then role player at the end. So he's seen both sides of this thing, perennial all-star and then minimum contracts at the end of his career, being a great team guy. I think he's going to care about showing you his basketball knowledge. And then I don't know if you saw Dirk on TNT late last season. He did a cameo appearance. Yeah. He was really good.
Yeah.
Really good. And the guy's got a steel trap for a brain. He remembers everything, minute details about his career, of course, and then others, games he was in, games that he's watched. He's very passionate. He's very into it. Taylor Rooks, who this is the next step for her. So, yeah, it feels like it's going to be a really good crew. On the game side, nothing official yet. The hope is that everything is going to work out, and certainly Amazon now is doing everything in their part to build a really good team and making sure their ducks are in a row to do this the right way and come out of the box with outstanding coverage. And I don't doubt that it will be anything but that.
All right, I'll accept that answer. That was a good way of, and obviously they can't get anyone better than you, so that's good to hear. And Blake Griffin, if anyone wants to see Blake Griffin at like a peak level, his performance at the I believe it was the Alec Baldwin roast.
Yeah, crushed it.
My Lord.
Crushed it.
And Dirk used to be awesome on Twitter, like back in the old days when Twitter was fun, and he used to tweet. He doesn't tweet anymore because he's smart. But back when Twitter was fun and people had fun with it, he was really, really good. So I love the fact that it's just the three of them too. So that'll be good.
And he and Steve Nash had a funny thing for a while. Yeah. They were doing some videos before where we are today, where everything would just go viral and there would be millions upon millions of hits. These were smaller videos in the Dallas area that got a lot of attention there, but didn't necessarily get national attention. Both have tremendous sense of humor. And you're right about Blake. The thing about Blake is his ability to deliver, but do it stone-faced.
Yeah.
Like he can do it without cracking up, which is a skill, of course.
Yeah. Is this right now your busiest time of your year?
Yeah, I realized, I don't know, there was a 6-week stretch when the NBA season started. I've been doing this obviously a long time and doing a lot of juggling, that it had been one of the most packed schedules that I had gone through for whatever reason, just in terms of dates and travel and circumstance and quick turnarounds and additional things that I maybe didn't anticipate. So yeah, it's been a busy stretch, but you come out of the other side of it at the end of the NFL regular season and it all feels like a blur. Like to me, the season flew by. I don't know how it's felt for you.
Yeah, it always feels like that to me, but yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mike Francesa, we have to give him credit. He was correct. Hard to believe it's week 5. Hard to believe it's week 6. Can't believe it's week 7. Like that was real. It's true. But you look up, you're like, what? It's week 17? How? When did this happen? So it's still a lot of fun, and I'm still enjoying the grind of it. I like doing a lot of games. I feel like it keeps me sharp. The one part of it is the compartmentalization, and then honestly, more than anything else, is just staying healthy and getting enough sleep. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what hotel room you're in. It doesn't matter what city you're in. It's 2 a.m. and your next door neighbor is just getting in from a bender, and who knows what's happening in the room next door. Things happen at all hours in every city, and they don't care if you have a big game the next day. So that's real life stuff and it's unpredictable. It could be really quiet at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and then at 2:30 in the morning, it's no longer quiet because the people next door to you decided to come in and who knows what kind of hijinks they're getting involved in. Yeah.
No earplugs or anything or headphones?
No, I do have earplugs if necessary. It's a last resort. Evan Washburn is huge on the sound machine, which I just have not been able to adjust to. I can't do it. I've tried with the phone app where it sounds like an air conditioning unit or sounds like the wind or sounds like the ocean or the beach or water. It doesn't work for me, Jimmy. I don't know how you feel about that. I can't do it.
I'm pretty good. I could sleep pretty much any circumstance. I'm good with that, except if I'm hot. That's the only one I can't do.
No, but then by the way, that's another one. You want to go to that where the issues in certain rooms. It could be a high-end hotel. It doesn't matter. Their thermostat, they might have an automatic switch where it will just kick on or kick off at 3 in the morning. I remember I went to Detroit one year to do the NCAA tournament. I get into my room. It's crazy hot. So this is March in Detroit. I'm like, how is this possible? So I'm hitting the direction arrow down over and over. I'm trying to move the temperature down. It will not kick on. I called downstairs. I said, hey, I'm trying to change my temperature, get it into the 60s. And they said, oh, no, it's climate controlled. We've got someone that has the master switch. I said, well, let me talk to that person. And they send me, it's a guy, he just picks up. I'm like, hey, I'm in room 1421, trying to get my degree to 68. He goes, yeah, hold on. And he did it. I said, what world are we in that you are somehow controlling my temperature? That happened at, I want to say, the Renaissance in Detroit.
At least it got done. I mean,
to get done.
Could have been worse.
I was going to leave the hotel, Jimmy. I'm not sleeping.
I would have left.
Degree
yeah,
heat.
no. I don't. I would have left too. You have to leave because you can't. You're not going to sleep.
No, I will not sleep. Those are my. There's a few issues for me with hotel rooms. You don't want to be next to the ice machine. That's an obvious one. Someone that comes back again at 2:30 in the morning and has this dire need for ice, and your bed is next to the ice machine. Right. Unacceptable. You'd rather not be next to the elevator, me personally, because there's a tendency for people as they get off an elevator to continue their conversation, and you're the room right next to it, and you get the shaft noise. That's happening. That's real. You can hear that, or at least I can. And then third, you'd rather avoid a housekeeping station next to you. You don't want that constant door open, shut, and they might have an interior elevator in the housekeeping station area that you don't even know of. You're not even aware of. So these are some helpful tips that you can.
I was going to say, in this day and age where everyone is thirsty for content, and content is just basically putting your phone here and filming yourself and then posting it. One of your employees, CBS or TNT or Amazon, needs to just have an Iron Eagle hotel show. There needs to be a weekly 2-minute Iron Eagle and what's going on in Iron's hotel. Would kill. It would kill.
I think you're half joking, but I think it could be.
I'm actually maybe 30% joking. Because I saw the video, I guess this was back at that CBS press event where I saw you at the end of the summer, and they made a video of you and you have a pen addiction.
Yeah, I didn't know that was coming. They just said, hey, we're going to do some interviews. I said, great. And I walk in, they said, what's in your bag? What do you need? I'm like, okay, well, I'll show you. And I had 108 pens.
Now, why? Why are we carrying around 108 pens in our bag day to day wherever we go?
It's a great question.
That's one for a therapist.
Yeah. Do you have any background in this?
I mean, listen, I have a sort of thing with pens myself, but it's because I'm a degenerate gambler.
But you have no background in therapy, correct?
Well, I've been to therapy.
No.
And I've watched The Sopranos.
But can you answer my questions? If I had questions, are you really qualified to answer them?
There's got to be the pens have to be some sort of security blanket for you.
Yes. Thanks.
That's my Dr. Melfi take.
I really appreciate it.
108
take
pens.
Your advice. Basically.
108 pens.
It's very troubling. And here's the best part. During the COVID year, where basically travel, as we know, was nothing. Right. I was getting on planes. I was getting to the airport 15 minutes before my flight and making my flight no problem. For whatever reason, I was flying out of Indianapolis that year. This is the only time this has ever happened to me. And I did not have a tight flight. And I go through, and the guy stops me with my bag. He says, going to have to check out your bag. I go, you got it. And he opens the pouch with the pens. He goes, you have quite a number of pens in here, don't you? I go, I do. He says, I'm going to have to take them out. I go right ahead. He takes out every pen and lines them up. And I'm just standing there watching it and cracking up, to be perfectly honest. And now, for the ones that had clickers, he clicks them. I don't know what he thinks is going to happen.
You have a bomb in the pen, maybe.
Yes. And why would you click it? That would be the worst thing you could do. He goes through every pen, and then he goes, all right, we're good. I go, great. And now there's a standoff. Is he going to put the pens back, or am I going to put the pens back? And in my view, that was his job. So he put each pen back. And there were people now walking by, watching this. I could only imagine what they're thinking in the heart of COVID. Like, what's happening right now? There's 100 pens laid out, and this guy's clicking them.
You know, and you know that guy went home that night and said to whoever his significant other was, like, you should have seen the nut job I had today. 100 pens. Yeah. Yeah.
He did not even ask. It's not like he asked me, hey, what do you do for a living that you need all these pens? He asked no follow-up questions. It was really an interesting back and forth.
Do you have a favorite pen in the 100? Like, do you just grab any pen if you have to write something down?
Yeah, I'm pretty open to all pens. I'm not that picky, to be perfectly honest.
Amazing. No. Do you like the four, the red, blue, black, and green? Do you have one of those? The four clicker?
It's funny. After that piece aired, David Burson, who heads up CBS Sports, great guy, my boss, but great guy, even though I have to say he's a great guy. He did send me a few of those red, blue, black, green CBS Sports pens. So now I must say it has emerged as a personal favorite. It's a pretty special pen.
I think the last thing you needed was more pens, but good gesture on David's part.
He's feeding my addiction. I'm scratching my arm.
You know, you mentioned something. You mentioned Evan Washburn earlier.
Yeah.
And I just realized you'd be the perfect guy to ask this to. Well, except for Evan. But every Sunday, I've almost tweeted this. And then I say, I'm not going to tweet this because I realize you can't tweet anything because everyone just says you're an asshole or whatever. But every Sunday when I watch one of your games, Evan comes on screen.
Yep.
And I've always said to myself two things. I mean, one, the hair is just
it's immaculate.
We need a video on the.
It's perfect.
Where is he, and what does he do Monday to Saturday?
It's a great question.
I feel like Evan Washburn, everyone has 50 million jobs in sports media. I think we only see him on Sundays at your game. Where is he the rest of the time?
You should probably check out CBS Sports HQ.
Okay.
That should probably be in your rotation. Okay. Because I think Evan does pop up on there.
Okay.
Evan does some other projects, does college basketball as well. So he's NFL, he's college hoops, he's lacrosse. He played lacrosse at Delaware, outstanding player, went to the Final Four. His hair was very good in college, not shockingly. And obviously it's the top of the profession now. He uses European products. He has them brought in from various points of the world. I don't even know how he gets that through security. I'm shocked that they don't stop him through security. Evan is tremendous at his job. He is such an asset to our crew as well because he's a great reporter. He's got a great sense of what's important, what's not, what works, how to tag something. And now I've been with him for double-digit years, so he's my much better looking younger brother is the way that I feel it. More athletic, more attractive, and better hair. All of it.
All right, so it's CBS Sports HQ is where I can find him during the week. That's okay.
He'll pop up in those. Yep.
Every Sunday, I just want to tweet where is he the rest of the time? We only see him on now. I got it. But
he's hermetically sealed, and then they just release him for the weekend.
I think he's doing his hair all week, and then he pops up on Sundays, and it is perfect. It is perfect.
He's doing something right then. Yeah. If that's what he's working on, then it's working for him.
I feel like we can't end this. We always at some point have to talk about Chris Russo. So. Have you been following his Timothy Chalamet saga? Yeah.
I could take my phone out right now, Jimmy, and if I went to my text chain with Mad Dog, it would be completely littered with Timothy Chalamet and his role as Bob Dylan. The leading up to the film, so when Chalamet was doing interviews, and then the trailer was released, and then stories were being written, he would just forward me those immediately, sometimes 4 in a row.
Yeah.
And then I would give a very quick response. Heard he killed it. Looking forward to it. I know he's seen it twice. I've seen his post. First time he saw it, he didn't love it, but then he went again with his mom, and then really, really got into it. I don't know which time he went that he had just had a gummy. That might have affected one or the other. Maybe the first time he went, no gummy.
Well, the first time he went was 10:30 in the morning on December 26th. Yeah,
prime movie time. Like that, when you really want to sit back and enjoy a film, 10:30 is probably optimum. Oh, yeah. You'll get one like pharmaceutical salesman that's at the film as well because his next meeting isn't until 1:30. Yeah. So, yes, he's into it completely.
You saw the latest though with Chalamet posting on his Instagram that he's got to get Dog to one of the premieres after Dog went nuts on First Take last week. Just hey, Timothy, go on the guy's radio show, do an interview for 10 minutes. That's all he wants.
Well, that he was complaining about that early.
Yeah,
when he was trying to book Chalamet, and he couldn't believe that Chalamet would not be interested. But I don't think Chalamet's bullshitting. He's a legitimate sports fan. And now the video resurfaced of him as a young Knick fan with Amari Stoudemire. And he was at like some Knick event as a teenager. That's real. He's a legitimate sports fan. He absolutely nailed it on College Game Day. Like that.
It was off the charts.
Was amazing.
Yeah. That's impressive. when I texted Dog, do you see he was on Game Day? And he was not happy. Like Dog wants, like, you know, yeah. Like, why is he on
Corso knows Timothy Chalamet?
Well, that's exactly what that's what he said. It's exactly. Well, he used McAfee and Herb Street. They wouldn't know Bob Dylan. Blah blah blah. It is funny because I got similar texts about the movie, and I didn't have the heart to tell him I have no interest in Bob Dylan.
See it. Yeah, no, you're not seeing it.
Not
your cup of tea.
But I appreciated that I that he was trying to get me in the loop on it.
Yeah, but that is Chris in a nutshell. And no joke in regards to Chris. When he gets into something, that's it. It becomes his life. And that's what's made him a great talk show host in many ways, because he will pick apart situations that he finds interesting, and then as a listener or a viewer, you start to buy in because of his brain, his beautiful mind that can peel apart something and find some new angle. So this thing definitely got him.
That should be Timothy Chalamet's next role. Play Chris Mad Dog Russo in a biopic.
Well, I think he said he's going to play Ernie Johnson.
Yes, he did.
Chalamet right now he might be at a 100% approval rate.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is doing everything correctly now from a PR standpoint, but it looks like it's very authentic and real. He's just a likable dude.
Yeah. Game Day was that was crazy.
Oh, it was great.
That was good. And listen, it sounds like he was as good as you could possibly be in this movie. I mean, I'm not a Bob Dylan fan, but I can appreciate the fact that he's going to get nominated for all these awards, and everyone said he killed it, and Dog said he was good. So can I give you? You'll appreciate this. Can I give you the moment when I realized I was in the Dog inner circle? Because you'll appreciate this more than anyone. At some point earlier in the NFL season, I don't know, maybe September, October, I get a text out of the blue at like 9:30 on a Tuesday night. And it's like, Jimmy, tough travel week with Herbie. Game day in Oregon and Thursday night in Cincinnati. I'm like, I'm in the inner circle now. When I'm getting texts to break down Kirk Herbstreit's travel schedule. Like his obsession with the travel schedule is the greatest.
He obviously has an obsession with travel in general, and he was, I believe, the last person to have an OAG, which was the pamphlet that would detail all of the flights.
Right.
Mind you, smartphones were already in existence. You could get any flight online. He still had the printed out version and would look at it like, well, there is an American that will get you to Kansas City. I was like, dude, I can just look on my phone. Man, what are we doing here? But his obsession currently with Andrew Catalon's travel, which is real.
Yes.
And he had the same obsession with Sam Rosen's travel back when Sam was juggling Rangers and NFL on Fox.
Kenny Albert, too.
Kenny, he had an obsession. He had one with me many years ago. Early in my tenure, I would get random phone calls. I see you have the Nets on a Friday in Orlando. How are you possibly getting to Oakland? And then I would have to go through exactly. He had already researched it, and he wanted to know what I was going to do. He goes, I see there is a Midwest Express. I don't know if you can make it.
The Herb Street situation is actually perfect because with that, Herb Street doing Thursday night Amazon NFL, Saturday game day, and then they'd have him at a different venue for a game Saturday night. I mean, that's right up Dog's alley.
Oh,
that was
my gosh. I mean,
that's his utopia.
That's it. That's Zen. That's where Chris wants to live in that world.
Absolutely.
On a gummy. Yeah.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I know you got a busy week. Chargers-Texans, the Houston Invitational, 4:30 Eastern on Saturday. Ian, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn with the hair.
Yeah.
We will be watching and looking forward to it. You're the best. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
All right, Jimmy. Put this, though, on the sheet. Let
the record show.
I believe you missed an appearance. I'm going to go back and check my records.
Check your records. All right. Thanks, Ian.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. All right, joining me now, as he does every single week, for our Traina Thoughts segment from WFAN Radio in New York, SNY TV in New York, my buddy Sal Licata. Sal, how's it going?
Great. Good to have you back. Excited about the wild card weekend, postseason. Holidays are over.
Back to the grind. I'm struggling. Back to the grind. But I will say, the run of football starting on Thursday night is pretty incredible. Thursday night starts with Notre Dame, Penn State. Friday night, Ohio State, Texas. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we get the NFL playoffs. We're taping this on Tuesday. Any early lines you like? Any leans you have in the betting world for the weekend of the wild card games?
No, to me, it's even too early as we tape this on Tuesday. Like, I'm more in the mode of I'm so excited for what I think is one of the two best weekends in sports. I look forward to these weekends all year. Can't wait to watch the games. The Saturday game, whatever, wild card, get some family obligations, which gets in the way naturally. We can't do Christmas on Christmas, so it's got to get delayed. So when does it get delayed to? Wild card Saturday, which is just a whole nother story. But I love all the matchups. Probably lean Chargers initially. I don't know. I'd like to pick the Packers over the Eagles. Point is, I think it's too early. Don't you think on Tuesday it's way too early? Give me Saturday morning and start getting into this stuff.
I usually do think Tuesday is too early for the regular season, but in the playoffs, I don't think it's too early. I think we know now. We're not getting many surprises. It's not like there's a quarterback who's questionable or a big change is going to happen. So I think, I was looking at the lines on Sunday the minute they came out. I did notice the Eagles started out as 3.5. It's up to 4.5. So if you like the Packers, keep waiting.
I think my heart says Packers in that game, but my head just says Philly has just been on another level the majority of the season. I'll tell you this, the initial feel too, a lot of times going in, I'll have a real strong gut feel about certain teams. I think with these matchups like Washington and Tampa, who the hell knows? Monday Night Football, Vikings, Rams, I don't have a strong gut feel for that. Bills, I would expect to win that game. Packers, Eagles, a little bit tougher. That's what makes those games fun. The way the Steelers are playing, they've been playing like crap lately. But even the Chargers, I love the Chargers because of Harbaugh going in. That's probably my strongest feel. But I think you get some tough matchups.
I'm going to totally contradict myself and blow up everything I said earlier. There is one player I guess we are waiting to hear some things about, and that's Jalen Hurts, because I saw on Monday he was still in the concussion protocol.
I saw today, I thought he cleared.
Okay. So I hadn't seen today. Okay, so that's...
I saw that today.
Yeah, so maybe that's why the line went up also a little bit. So yeah, so Philly, I if I'm gonna go, listen, one or two of these underdogs will probably win. But in terms of the points, that's all I care about. I think 9 is too high for the Broncos. They're playing really well. They got the momentum going. Obviously, Josh Allen is a beast, but I think 9 is high for that one. So that was the first one I was like. I like the Chargers as well.
What's that line, Chargers?
2.5 right now.
Yeah, I'd take the Chargers. Now, will you bet all these games? Because I love the way now, like I got myself into trouble with gambling years ago. You know the deal. But now that it's kind of controlled, being on a legal site without a credit or whatever, I like my system. I've had a very good, fun year where I could put $100 in and have fun, and also play a game that maybe I don't love in different ways with the same game parlays or little things here or there. Will you bet no matter what every playoff game straight?
Absolutely. Well, I'll bet a side or total, and I also like to bet team totals.
Okay.
That's so I'll bet a side or an over under in every game. I'll probably bet if I don't like a specific game, like Tampa Bay Washington, like you said, don't really have a strong feel. I mean, I don't like picking a rookie quarterback in his first playoff game, but I think that guy can wreck and win any game. So I could tell that game I'll probably bet whatever the over is on the Commanders team total.
What about like a future as far as Super Bowl winner or Super
I
Bowl
usually don't
appearance?
do those.
Okay.
I usually don't do futures. I need the instant gratification.
Yeah, well, there's two ways to look at it. I'm with you that a lot of times I need the instant gratification. However, once you start the playoff run, now you could have something that can play out like whatever. Let's just say you like the Rams or the Commanders or Bucks. Take a long shot to get to the Super Bowl or the championship, whatever it may be. Sometimes those can be fun too.
I did see when we discussed this last week. Who was it? I said, what team did I say? Minnesota? Like their odds were.
Yeah, remember it was, and then I think it had something to do with that Sunday night game, which it was going to come down to.
And then they shit the bed. So the Commanders team total is 23.5. I would probably bet over on that. That would be my bet in that game.
That's probably the least, either the least interesting game to me or the game that I have the least feel for.
See, I think for me, that's probably the most interesting game because I love Jaden Daniels. I just love watching him play.
I hate both those teams. Specifically, can't stand Dan Quinn, and I don't like the Bucks. Although I do love Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield, I'm not a Bucks person. Yeah,
it should be good. And then the two college games to get it started. It's a perfect lead-in. I like that the college is not going head-to-head.
You go coach, quarterback, coach or quarterback more so in the postseason.
No, I go by who I think is going to win.
Right, but you just value the.
Well, I mean, like Todd Bowles, Dan Quinn. I mean, is one better than the other? Not really.
Yeah, I think so. I'd rather have Todd Bowles.
Based on what?
But then you look at the quarterback situation. You probably have Jaden Daniels. I mean, when I start looking at some of these games, usually I go coach quarterback combo or try to come up with some kind of formula there.
I mean, listen, if you're in the playoffs, most likely you have a good quarterback. I mean, all these quarterbacks are good. Herbert, Stroud, Lamar, Allen, Nix has played well. Hurts. I mean, Love. You're not going to get a bad quarterback in the playoffs. I mean,
right, but in the matchup, you're going to have one that you think is better than the other. Same thing with the coach, right?
Well, like Josh Allen is better than Bo Nix, but I want 9 points. The point spread is the equalizer.
That's a great example. So would you go, to me, the better quarterback in that spot by far, Josh Allen, or do you think a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix who's been good can keep it close? Like, I'd probably lean Bills, go with the veteran quarterback, more experienced team, even though Denver has been terrific this year.
Yeah, I'm going just by the line. I'll take 9 points in a playoff game with Denver. I go by more, like you asked, coach quarterback, I go by who's hot right now. Okay. I think Denver's playing really well. They've got a little momentum, which is why I'd bet Baltimore. I mean, the Steelers are shot. So.
And what's that line?
10.
Wow. See, that's a spot where I think the Ravens are going to win. How could you not take 10 points in that game to me?
Have you watched the Steelers in the last month?
Yeah, yes. Unfortunately, I keep believing them. I should blame you for this. I should invoice you because you got me into that stupid Hard Knocks show. I fell in love again with Mike Tomlin, and I've been betting them ever since, and they keep losing all these freaking. They did cover the other night against the Bengals, though.
Yeah, but I don't understand why you bet off of Hard Knocks. What does Hard Knocks have to do with who's covering the spread?
It just reminded me how much I love Tomlin and believe in him and his philosophy and his system, and he's a badass. Their defense hasn't even been that good. So, again, I know that they covered.
And they have no weapons on offense, so don't blame Hard Knocks.
Well, can Pickens catch the damn ball?
Well,
my God.
Well, he'll catch it, and then he'll get a 15-yard penalty for, taunting or unsportsmanlike. He's just as much as a minus as he's a plus half the time because of his antics.
Yeah. I may, if I do bet that game, and like you said, I probably will try. I want to watch every game so you have juice on every game. I would take the Steelers in that game plus the points, just on principle.
Now, what is going on Saturday?
I'm not going to get too much into detail, but my wife's family asked to postpone Christmas Day to a later date. That later date turned out to be January 11th, which puts me in an impossible spot. Because as much as I would like to come on here and say, I told her like anybody would say, that's wild card weekend. It's non-negotiable, which it is for 99.9% of things. However, to redo Christmas, I can't. There's no way I could say no. I have to suck it up and go watch the games there. I have to. I
mean, normally I would be on your wife's side on some of these things, but to do Christmas on January 11th is absurd.
It's not her fault.
Larry has the rule, no Happy New Year past January 3rd. You're doing Christmas on January 11th. That's rough.
I have to admit, I'm not going to get into details. You know some of them. There are dire circumstances that potentially led to this. Right. But still, it didn't need to be pushed back this far, in my opinion, nor on wild card weekend. And I even was trying to say, hey, what time? What time? Hoping for I'll be there at 10 a.m.
Right, let's do a breakfast. Yeah.
Get ready to go. I'll bring the breakfast and bagels and presents and we're good to go. And she's like, probably, later in the day around 3, 4, maybe 4:30.
As soon as the ball kicks off. As soon as the Chargers and Texans kick off.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And then what's going to happen is there's going to be complaints about me not being involved as much.
Right.
But so I can't win. Either way, I'm screwed. I'm not going to watch the games the way that I want to. I'm taking one on the chin as we go there anyway. And then it's still not going to be good enough because no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to be focused on the games,
Is your Christmas tree still up or did you take it down?
No, took it down this weekend.
Okay.
Hopefully by the time I get home, it's gone from the curb as well. Yours?
So down. Okay. I took it down January 2. But someone asked a question. They said, can you discuss with Sal this week when you're supposed to take down the Christmas tree?
Well, when you have the real tree, it's different because you are on a time frame. You got to take it out when the garbage can take it. There's a specific time. I think in my town, they come 2 weeks. That's it.
I was going to say, my town, you just put it out and they'll take it any day for, I guess,
Interesting. I don't know. There was always specific tree day pickups, I thought. But anyway.
Yeah. Mine was down January 2nd. I don't think it should go by I'll tell you what I think messed everything up for me a little bit was with Christmas and New Year's both falling on a Wednesday. Because Christmas Day was on that Wednesday. Then you had the Thursday, Friday, then a weekend. And then New Year's Day on a Wednesday. I felt like it made this holiday very, very long. It was on a Wednesday. Weeks. But I wouldn't say ruined.
Well, from a work perspective, I'd rather have a clean in and a clean out. You kind of had that awkward Monday where do I go in? Do I not go in? Screw it. What's one day I'll take off? But then you had to go in Thursday, Friday on the second and third.
Right.
Yeah. What are we looking at next year? It's a Thursday, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it'll be on a Thursday.
A little bit better because now you probably go to work, let's say Monday,
Tuesday, Wednesday, right.
Shut it down and you're good to go.
Right. The Christmas tree should be now. This is coming out January 9th. The Christmas trees should be down by the 9th.
Lights and everything. I'm still driving home and seeing people with the lights up. It's got to be off. Come on.
Someone else asked, and I didn't want to do this because it's a New York thing, and then people get pissed off. We're not New York, but they wanted your opinion on congestion pricing, which if you're not in New York, basically what's happening is it started on this Monday. If you're coming into New York City, a certain part of the city, but basically the city, you have to pay, if you drive, you have to pay $9 extra per day to drive into the city. That's not including the tolls you already pay and the parking you already pay. Because I guess they want people to take mass transit so there's not as many cars on the road. And I don't know, people are so dumb because I feel like this has been known for a long, long time, but everyone started losing their shit on Sunday and Monday when it started to happen. But
because it kept getting delayed and pushed back and vetoed or whatever.
But it doesn't affect you. You take mass transit.
Well, yeah, I'd like not to, but I take mass transit for convenience and for price, and now even more so, but I don't want to. I'd rather drive. But to the person that asked that, what do you think my opinion on it is? Who's the person that says, hey, great idea, charge me more to get to the crappy city for work? Like, there is no other side. Usually there's two sides to a story. Right. There is no other side to this as far as I'm concerned.
I haven't seen one person be pro-congestion pricing.
Yeah, I mean, they said it's going to clean up and help the MTA. Okay, well, how long is that going to take?
Someone's got to come in and just stop it at some point, you would think. That's what I think.
It's so bad. I actually don't feel safe commuting, which is why I wish I could just get in my car and drive in, and maybe eventually I get to that point. I can't right now. It just
you take a subway in the morning?
I take the PATH train in New Jersey.
Right.
Then I'll take the subway from WFAN to SNY.
And you don't feel safe when you do that?
No, not as safe as I used to. Now in the summer I'll walk. In the spring and summer I'll walk downtown a half hour. But now in the freezing cold, it's
have you experienced anything with someone trying to kill you or?
Well, no, not necessarily trying to kill me, but yes, I've experienced people, deranged people yelling, cursing, threatening others, maybe not directly, but just like, I ought to, blah, 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 and just like going off on these rants where everybody there is just wait until the doors open to the next stop and get the hell off that car.
I feel like I've seen that the whole time I worked in the city.
Correct, but now it feels, you're right, we've seen that for years, but now it's a little different with the amount of stabbings and lack of, I guess, presence that was down there. It just feels different.
Right. Did you watch the first episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix by any chance?
No, but I heard a lot about it.
It is amazing to me that they make this landmark deal, the WWE, with Netflix. It's this huge deal. They bring back The Rock. They bring back John Cena. They had a huge match with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. They have a match with Seth Rollins and CM Punk and a million celebrities in the audience. And all anyone is talking about on Tuesday, is that your favorite, that awful, awful Hulk Hogan got booed out of the building.
He's the Hulkster. Now, why do you think he got booed because of his political stuff?
No.
But didn't we? And I know the history with the racial.
That's why he got booed. That's why he got booed.
Right, but didn't he come back after that?
Well, he's made appearances here and there, but I don't think it's gone over.
I thought that didn't they ban him from the Hall of Fame and erase him from the Hall of Fame? Okay, and then since then put him back, and he's been back on TV. So why is that resurfacing again when I thought that they kind of,
Well, the event was in Los Angeles, so you have to assume maybe it's a liberal crowd. I don't know.
But that's political.
But again, I don't know. I mean, The Undertaker was there. He didn't get booed out of the building, and he's been more vocal than Hulk Hogan. He had Trump on his podcast. I mean, so that's why I don't think it's that.
Okay.
The Undertaker came out, and he got cheered, and everyone loved The Undertaker.
Yeah, you would know more than I do. Maybe it's a culmination of things. Maybe people
listen. I think if there's a video, this is how I feel. If there's a video of you laying in bed with your best friend's wife who you just banged, and you're using the N-word in the most vile, heinous ways, that's hard for people to just be like, oh, okay, well, it's a long time ago. Like, no, I think you're an awful human being.
Agreed, but I thought that they already, in their minds at least, thought that they moved past that. And
the WWE did, but the fans.
But didn't they bring him back out? I don't know.
They brought him out here and there, but I don't. But when he's been brought back. Plus, here's the other thing: when he came out Monday night, he came out and did a live commercial. Like he came, whatever he's promoting, some beer or something.
So that's on WWE then, because
he didn't come out as part of any sort of storyline or any. He came out literally to do a live commercial.
Right, which I'm sure he said, I'll do it if I could do this. I'll make an appearance, but you got to let me do this.
I don't know the logistics of that, but.
Well,
again,
common sense would say that. But anyway, yeah, I was again, I don't know all about it, but I thought that they already had seen him on TV since those incidents.
Well, maybe the support for Trump made people remember the other stuff. But again, like I said, The Undertaker was very vocal about being a Trump supporter. He had Donald Trump on his podcast, and he didn't get booed.
Yeah.
So that's why I can't think it's just straight up, oh, he supported Trump.
Hulk Hogan, the character, I love. Hulk Hogan, the person, has proven to be a complete dipshit, to put it nicely. Like
I hate both. So I love that. There's a great video. I don't know. Did you see the video with Nikki Bella and Bill Simmons?
I did. Yeah.
I mean, it was so great. Bill was like, just look straight ahead. Just look straight ahead. Just look straight ahead.
Did Nikki Bella, she break up with her current marriage?
They're divorced. They're divorced.
Right.
They're divorced.
So any chance Cena and Nikki Bella rekindle things?
He's married.
Oh, I didn't know that. Cena got married?
Yes.
To that tattoo girl?
I don't know if she has tattoos or not.
I thought there was a girl that he was dating maybe a while ago that was, I thought she was a tattoo artist. Either that or she just had a lot of tattoos on her.
I don't know anything about that, but there will be no round two for John Cena and Nikki Bella.
I hate that. I'm a romantic at heart.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Well, but if you're a romantic at heart, you can put all your energies into Bill Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend. Are you following Bill Belichick on Twitter? He just joined Twitter this week.
No, I didn't even know that. I'll check that out, though.
Like, what are you doing if you're Bill Belichick?
Joining Twitter?
Yeah. Like, you're 76 years old. Twitter is the worst thing on the internet. Why are you joining Twitter?
I'm sure it's because his 24-year-old girlfriend was like, "Hey, Bill, I'll run your Twitter for you. This will be
Or
fun."
he's trying to use that to help recruit people, recruit kids to North Carolina. But again, like, I don't even think college kids use Twitter anymore. They're all about Snapchat and TikTok and.
I'm sure it was advised by somebody. I don't think Bill had any interest or has any interest in doing it.
I have so much respect for people who are not on Twitter, and then he goes, like, I hate that, like, all these, like, there were so many people who weren't on it, who I respected for not being on it, and then they joined it strictly for the business purposes, like Jeter and Brady. Like,
yeah,
be above that fucking hellhole. It's awful. It's so bad. Anyway, here's the other reason why I'm struggling. The vacation's over. Back on the grind. It was weird too. Like, I haven't written anything in like 2 weeks. I had to write today, and I couldn't find anything to write about. I wasn't going to get into the whole Fox Sports lawsuit thing, which we shouldn't even discuss here because that'll probably just lead to trouble. But that's a fun story. But
it
now
is. But I'm going to sit that one out. I read about it.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by it. I'm not going to comment on it.
Well, here's what I would say. I mean, I don't know. Like, SI must be the most boring place to work ever, because I've never seen or heard anything even remotely close in 25 years to anything of any sort of anything like that. Like, it's insane.
I'm not commenting.
Oh, all right. Oh, God. Oh, so the other reason I'm struggling is now one of those HBOs is rerunning The Sopranos.
So you want to watch it? Is that what you mean?
I've had it on the TV like for like 2 days. You know.
That's great.
I can't, if it's on, I have to watch it. I can't help it. It just
same thing.
Like if I know it's on what channel is it on? 904 on Verizon Fios.
Right, but then when you do watch it, like I'm not one who could just watch it and move on. I'll watch it and be locked in and want the next one and want the next one.
Right. Speaking of Verizon Fios, I lost the remote control. So I called them to order it because I need a new remote. And they said it's $25 because I'm out of my warranty, whatever. That's absurd.
You lost the remote. You should get charged.
Okay, so then they send me the remote, $25, which I'm livid about. Then I find the old remote. So I call them and I'm like, can I return this? And they said, well, no, you could keep it and we won't charge you.
What?
Exactly. It just shows you what a scam everything is. It just shows you what a scam. Like when I called to order it and they said it was $25, I'm like, I'm not going to fight this. I'm like, all right, just have it. It's $25. What am I going to do? Just deliver it. And now they tell me keep it and you don't have to pay.
Here's maybe why, because you could just bring it back to them at any point. Like if you lost something, now they're out that piece of merchandise. Now you could bring it back, and get.
But they don't want it back. They told me to keep it.
Well, when you return it, whatever. I don't know. That is a weird one. But
it felt very like we're scamming people for $25 because there's no way they need to charge customers $25 So if I didn't lose the remote and it broke, that's what I should have asked them. If the remote broke, would they charge me?
Probably not, because again, you would have the remote in hand to theoretically.
I see what you're saying. Well, maybe.
Now that you have it, it's like, okay, well, you have the product, so yeah, I think this one's on you because you lost the remote. I'm not gonna.
Nothing's on me. I got a free remote, so it's not on me. I got an extra. All right, I should go sell the extra now for $20 on eBay or whatever.
No. Then I would think you'd be out, because then when at the end of your bill, they'd be like, where's this other remote? I don't know, the whole thing. I don't know how that works, but weird.
All right, Sal. Enjoy Wild Card Weekend. Are you going to watch the college football games?
I will be into them, yes. I'm probably not going to bet on them. What's the Notre Dame line, Penn State?
Notre Dame is favored by like 2.5.
Yeah, I might bet that one. And Ohio State is what, double-digit favorites?
I'm not sure. Let me check. It's 2.5 for Notre Dame, and it's 6 for Ohio State.
Maybe I take Ohio State. I'm mad at myself because I missed out several stops along the way on Ohio State. I would have been betting them going back to their game against Indiana. I would have bet them against Oregon New Year's Day. I just wasn't locked in enough to. I saw the game start and I was like, oh crap! And then they got we're up 14-0 right away.
Yeah, that game was over immediately.
Yeah.
All right, so college football Thursday, Friday. Enjoy the playoffs and enjoy your Christmas. And we'll see you next week.
I'll talk to you later. Yeah.
All right. All right. My many, many thanks to Iron Eagle. My thanks to Sal Licata. My thanks to you for listening. If you missed any recent episodes of the pod, make sure you check them out. The pod kept rolling through the holidays. We did a year-end review, a 5th annual year-end extravaganza with Peter Schrager and Andrew Perloff, where we recap 2024 in sports media, sports, pop culture. So check that one out. We had an old Traina Thoughts edition with Sal Licata. We read our Apple reviews, did an interview with Triple H from WWE, podcasts as well with Mike Tirico and Sean McDonough. Check them out and make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a review on Apple. All right, that wraps it up for this week. We'll see you next week. Stay safe and take care.